Good Thursday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We are live in Charlottesville, across Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. We're presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, located next to Rapture Restaurant on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall. Skooma Boutique Dispensary has certificates of analyses on everything in the store. CBD, Delta 8. If you have pain management issues, Skooma Boutique Dispensary has you covered. If you have sleeping through the night issues, Skooma Boutique Dispensary has you covered. If you have anxiety issues, Skooma Boutique Dispensary has you covered. David T. and the team at Skooma, as good as it gets. We give some love to Ting Fiber Internet. Crazy fast internet is Ting Fiber Internet. They power the network. A lot to cover on today's program, including UVA Health requiring vaccinations of its team members. Sentara Hospital, Martha Jefferson, is also now requiring vaccinations. It's funny how both announced the requirement or mandate for vaccinations with their team members within about 10 hours of each other, keeping up with the Joneses effect, in fact. Delta Airlines is going to charge their employees $200 a month if they have not been vaccinated. Terry McAuliffe is running for governor of Virginia. He says, boys and girls, if you're not vaccinated in the Commonwealth, and if I'm elected to governor, I'm going to make life extremely difficult for you. We will give you that story in a matter of moments. And as predicted, the school systems are starting to fall. Amherst County is going to close it all down until early September. Rappahannock is closing it down as well. Franklin County Schools in southwestern Virginia has 600 plus kids currently infected with COVID. We will highlight all these storylines on the I Love CVille Show. We'll hear from Miss Virginia, Tatum, Sheppard, in about 20 minutes on today's program. We will analyze Laura Fonner's new restaurant, Siren, in the old Shabine Pub location. That will open, or should open, in early October, according to reports. Tapas has shut his restaurant. Tapas has shut its restaurant down for a week. The Belmont staple, the restaurant in a lot of ways that made dining in Belmont, Tapas, closed for a week. Albemarle County, guys, has had some school bus issues. Albemarle County, in fact, the bus that services our neighborhood, my neighborhood, broke down on the first day of school while picking up students in the morning. Students were left on the side of the road in 100-degree heat, standing on asphalt on their first day of school. That left a lot of mommies and daddies quite frustrated, and it left one mom asking on social media, why am I able to track my groceries online through an app on my phone? How and why can I track my shoe orders, the purchase of clothes, of toys, of sporting goods on my phone through an app, yet I am unable to track a school bus carrying my son and daughter to school? We can track all that other stuff on our phone, yet we cannot track on our phone the safety of our offspring on a tin can driving around roads in Albemarle County and in jurisdictions across America. It's a very good point. I'll analyze that storyline today on the program. Folks, I'm going to ask you this question. How do we fix the Charlottesville Police Department? We've covered it all week long on the I Love CVille Network. This story is gaining more and more momentum and will undoubtedly be an issue that Charlottesville City Councilors-to-be will have to deal with. We'll talk how do you fix the Charlottesville Police Department and the morale issues. Today on the show, we will analyze the best beach destinations for investors. If you're looking to buy a property, a beach property, if you're looking to shelter some money, create a tax haven, what are the best places from a beach standpoint in the world to invest your money? A lot to cover on the program. Judah Wickower is our director. He's a fabulous person. Judah Wickower, you ready to rock and roll? All right. Top story. UVA Health and Martha Jefferson now requiring the COVID-19 vaccination for all its team members. UVA sent a press release out yesterday. The press release says this: all employees must get their second dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines or a single dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccination by October 18th. Anyone who remains unvaccinated by November 1 will face disciplinary action, including possibility of termination. That's serious. UVA Health has a deadline of October 18th for the Johnson & Johnson single shot or the Pfizer or Moderna second shot. If anyone is unvaccinated by November 1 and works at UVA Health, they risk the possibility of termination and disciplinary action. Folks, we're going to see more and more of this. Martha Jefferson followed suit hours after UVA Health made this announcement. Terry McAuliffe is on the campaign trail, a Democratic candidate fighting for another term in the governor's mansion. Terry McAuliffe on the campaign trail yesterday said, if I'm elected to governor, I will make life extremely difficult for anti-vaxxers in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Terry McAuliffe took it a step further, and he insisted, encouraged, pleaded, asked, strong-armed on the campaign trail business owners to demand that their employees get vaxxed. Folks, it's not messing around. And I'm telling you, I made this prediction earlier in the week. When the Food and Drug Administration gave 100% full approval for the Pfizer vaccination, that 100% full approval from the FDA for the Pfizer shot is a potential leverage point for government and business owners to mandate the vaccination. You say this if you're the government, Food and Drug Administration, the governing body of medicine, the governing body of new drugs. They gave full green light approval for Pfizer. Because they've given full green light approval for Pfizer, we're now going to mandate that you get injected with this vaccination. You heard it here first. It's going to happen. And speaking of mandates, listen to what Delta Airlines is doing. This is pretty aggressive. Delta Airlines is going to pop their employees $2 a month, $200 a month, 2 C notes a month if they're unvaccinated. I'm going to give it to you straight here. Delta Airlines will charge employees on the company health plan $200 a month if they fail to get vaccinated against COVID-19. A policy the airline's top executive says is necessary because the average hospital stay for the virus costs the airlines 50 G's. Here's what's happening. Delta has got a number of employees who have not been vaccinated. Those employees, some of them, are getting really sick. Those really sick Delta employees are having to stay long-term in a hospital, and they're accruing bills for their hospital stay. Delta offers health care to these employees. They're covering the majority of the costs of these hospital visits. The average hospital stay is costing Delta $50,000. $50K. So they said that anyone who is unvaccinated, who gets COVID on September 30th, anyone who's unvaccinated by September 30th will start being charged $200 a month, a surcharge, to help cover or offset the $50,000 on average in overhead each hospital visit is costing the airline. That is substantial. You now have Delta Airlines, UVA Health, Sentara Medicine. You now have Terry McAuliffe on the campaign trail telling people he's going to make life extremely difficult for anti-vaxxers. The snowball is getting bigger, it's gaining momentum and steam, and it's going downhill very fast. It reminds me of Christmas vacation. My wife and I, our son, we have many traditions. One of the traditions we love is after Thanksgiving, in the month of December, we watch Christmas Vacation on the regular. Chevy Chase, a superstar. Do you remember in Christmas Vacation when Chevy Chase is atop the mountain with his family? He uses this secret sauce to lube up his silver sled. The secret sauce lubes up his silver sled so much that when he goes sledding down the hill, he goes sledding at the speed of light and goes miles down the hill. Fast, quick clip, momentum, extremely quick down the mountain. That's what's happening right now with these mandates. You got government, you got the FDA, you got Fortune 500 companies, all essentially getting ready to strong arm anti-vaxxers into vaccines. I've been saying this was going to happen for months. Now it's a reality. $200 surcharge per month if you're not vaccinated and you work for Delta Airlines. Now let's talk schools. We got some tough news happening. Parents don't want to hear this, but this is the news, and it's important that we're informed of what's happening. Rappahannock has closed its 2 public schools for the week due to corona, due to Delta and COVID. Amherst County Public Schools are shutting down its schools until early September due to COVID. Franklin County Public Schools, less than 10 days of being open, has more than 600 kids infected with COVID right now, and Franklin County School Board and its superintendent office and its leadership are contemplating the closure of the school system for a matter of time. Once Amherst County, Rappahannock, and soon Franklin County close, maybe for a week, maybe for longer, this is going to create a comparable, a comp, a keeping up with the Joneses impact or effect, a leverage point for other public school systems to say, hey, we're not the first. Amherst County has already done this. Rappahannock has already done this. Franklin County is about to do it. We're seeing public school systems, not even 2 weeks of being open this year, shutting down in the Commonwealth left and right. We got to follow this closely. Lee Elberson on this program, CEO, Claiborne Education, says the over-under is Thanksgiving, and he's taken the under on Thanksgiving for public schools shutting down. It's looking like it's going to be a lot sooner than we thought. The Delta variant is no joke. It is no joke. Poorly ventilated schools, not cleaned properly, students riding in tin cans to and from the schools, not wearing masks properly, and many unvaccinated. That is a collision course for a super spreader event. That is a collision course for a super spreader event that is right before our eyes, that we're dealing with right now. 600 plus kids in the Franklin County school system in southwestern Virginia currently quarantined and infected with the Delta variant. Ay mi madre. All right, let's get off COVID. Let's talk some positive news. Still to come on today's show, Laura Fonner's new restaurant. We will analyze Siren. It's opening in the Sheppard spot early October, according to multiple media reports. Fonner has got tremendous skills in the kitchen. Okay? We'll analyze her restaurant. We will talk about a restaurant on the downtown mall that is currently for sale through Stu Rifkin of Rifkin & Associates, a fantastic business broker. Mas Tapas, the Belmont staple, closed for the week because one of the team members got COVID. We'll talk all these topics, including why we cannot track Albemarle County or Charlottesville City or school buses in general on our iPhones. I can legitimately track when tennis shoes are coming in the mail. I can legitimately track when my groceries are being delivered. I can legitimately track when something nice is coming in the mail that I purchased for my wife. Yet we're unable to track on our phones our kids riding school buses and whether they got to school safely or not. Does that make any sense to you? Does not to me. All those topics and more. Before we do that, Judah, I'd like to hear from Miss Virginia, Tatum Sheppard. She was on Today y Mañana this morning on the I Love CVille Network, presented by Emergent Financial Services. Today y Mañana is a dynamite show. Alex Erpy, the closer, Xavier Yerpy, they do a hell of a job. Nicholas Erpy behind the scenes, a hell of a job. They had Tatum Sheppard, Miss Virginia, in that chair right there. Judah, you have that sound ready to go? Let me hear it in 3, in 2, and in 1.
Definitely. So I'll be competing at Miss America in December in Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun, and that is more opportunity for scholarship. Once again, Miss America wins usually $50,000 in scholarship. So tons of opportunity for that, and then also taking your platform on a national level.
Exactly.
The program that I back up, Big Brothers Big Sisters, is a national program, and it's present in all 50 states. And so I'm working on the programs that I have here in Virginia, and I want to be a good steward of that, so that should I win Miss America, I know how to steward the programs that we have across the country.
Awesome. And the Miss America, is that a 2-day, 3-day affair, or how long does that last?
It's usually a week-long process.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be several preliminary nights of competition where we'll compete in everything. We'll do our private interview with the judges. And then the final night, which is the night that's always televised on cable. That's when they do like the top 15. They'll do the finalists, and then we'll all recompete that night.
On everything? Everything
you don't redo your private interview with the judges.
Of course, yes. Okay.
But yeah, you'll recompete in evening gown, talent, onstage question, your social impact pitch, which is your opportunity to talk about your social impact initiative. So yeah, you recompete in all of that.
Wow. And talent meaning like you can play an instrument or you can sing or things of that sort?
Yeah, you see a lot of those talents. I sing. I got my degree in musical theater.
Oh, wow,
so I'm planning on doing a Broadway vocal. But our most recent Miss America, who is also Miss Virginia, she actually did a science experiment.
Whoa, that's
She's in pharmacy school, and she has done a great job just showing the different opportunities that are out there for all the girls. You don't have to have a typical stage talent. Miss America can be a scientist, and you can do an awesome science experiment. And she executed it, and it was super out of the box, but she really broke barriers with that, and I'm so proud to call her my sister. So you see a wide variety of talents, from a science experiment to opera to tap dancing, playing an instrument, all kinds.
That's great. I can't imagine really going up stage and doing a science, right? So it's like,
it was a lot of.
This is supposed to happen.
It was a lot of chemicals, and they had to be super careful.
Wow. How about Tatum Sheppard, boys and girls? Miss Virginia on the I Love CVille Network, thanks to the Erpy men of Emergent Financial Services, a trusted name in the game. Emergent Financial Services will help you grow your wealth. Miss Virginia in the house, this is for you. All right, Stu Rifkin, the talented business broker. Stu Rifkin, a man about town who's currently spending some time in Maine. Stu Rifkin, a hell of a golfer, a well-connected guy, a dude who knows business like the Pope knows holy water, and frankly, a guy I like to see in Charlottesville, in Keswick, in Albemarle, online, anywhere. Love Stu Rifkin. He's got a new listing. This listing, a little more difficult to figure out which this listing is. Remember, Stu had the hotcakes listing, and on the I Love CVille Network a few weeks ago, maybe about 30 days ago or so, we kind of did some detective work. We found his listing online for a restaurant that had a bakery and a catering arm that was located in the city of Charlottesville and in the best shopping center possible. Well, with our detective work, we were able to figure out that was hotcakes. We deciphered that was hotcakes, and we were right. Hotcakes was for sale. Now there's a new one, That's for sale. Stu, you did a good job with the words you wrote this time. Make it really difficult to figure out which this restaurant is that's for sale. I'm not able to decipher this one as easily. Prime downtown mall location, says the listing. Looking for a restaurant opportunity in Charlottesville? Question mark. Restaurant for sale on the historic downtown mall. Well established, turnkey, profitable operation that is ready for new ownership. Non-disclosure agreement required. He's got some images that go with the listing on rifkinassociates.com that are kind of more stock images of downtown and not a specific space at all. So this is what we know. We now have a profitable turnkey restaurant that is well established, that is for sale on the downtown mall. Does anyone want to guess which one this is? I don't have the answer. I'll say this is who I do not think it is. I don't think this is, in fact, I know it's not Sal's Cafe Italia. The Finazzo family have an awesome restaurant. They own the building. It's family owned and family run. They crush it. It's not them. It's not Citizen Burger Bar. Annie McClure at Citizen Burger Bar is the top grossing restaurant in the Charlottesville downtown mall. Citizen Burger Bar, morning, noon, and night, crowded, doing checks that I would bet are somewhere between $20 and $25 on average per person, per cover. I would bet it's not C&O. Dean Bompin is living his dream as the executive chef and owner at C&O. I don't think it's C&O. I don't think it's any of Wilson Ritchie's restaurants. Wilson Ritchie, if he was going to sell one of his restaurants, I don't think would do it through Stu. He would sell it like he's done in the past to a team member that's below him on the totem pole. Just like he did with the Alley Light, just like how he did with the Bebedero. He looks for an exit for the restaurants he starts with the people that are in his family tree that work for him. So that really, I don't think it's Ivan at Zocalo. Ivan's got a cash cow at Zocalo, and Zocalo is in his blood. He started that restaurant with his lifelong friend, Andrew Silver, who has since moved to Texas. I don't think it's Zocalo that's for sale. I don't think it's Brian Helleberg's restaurants. Brian Helleberg owns Fleury. He owns Petit Pois, and he owns the little restaurant bakery across from Fleury. I don't think it's either of those. So if it's not Wilson's restaurants, and it's not Brian Helleberg's restaurants, and it's not Ivan's Zocalo, and it's not Annie McClure's Citizen Burger Bar, and I don't think it's Hunter Smith's Brasier Saison or Hunter Smith's Passiflora, that doesn't leave a lot of restaurants left. What does that leave left? Well, that leaves Bisou. I don't see Tim and Vincent selling Bisou, do you? No, not me. I think you could cross Bisou off the list, right? That leaves Fitzroy. Intriguing. Could it be Fitzroy? I think you put that in the maybe column. Could that be a reference to Fellini's? I don't think it's a reference to Fellini's because Fellini's has been shut down and Fellini's has not been profitable in some time. And clearly it says in the language that the restaurant is profitable. So what's your pick? Which restaurant is for sale? We're playing a guessing game. We don't know. This is for the sake of a talk show. We have no idea. Could it be the Fitzroy? Maybe. Who knows? We do know that there's one for sale, and you need a non-disclosure agreement to get there. And speaking of restaurants, excuse me one second. And speaking of restaurants, Laura Fonner is opening one. Laura Fonner is talented, dynamic, makes great food. Laura Fonner's had a hell of a transition in COVID since leaving Dooners. Remember, she was going to take over as owner of Dooners Restaurant. But unfortunately, the pandemic changed things like it did for so many of us. when she no longer was going to be able to be the new owner of Dooner's, she left Dooner's Restaurant and started working for the Champion Hospitality Group. We saw Laura in a food truck around town. Her food truck was at Dumpling. We saw her at vineyards and wineries, busting her tail, serving some of the best dumplings we've ever had. We saw her at Champion Grill from time to time on the line. Now we see Laura Fonner blossoming and truly coming into her own as the new owner of Siren. Siren is a joint venture between Hunter Smith and herself in the old Shabine location. Hunter is turned into a prolific restaurateur and a prolific owner of brands. His portfolio includes Champion Brewing Company, the Champion Tap Room over there by the Belmont Bridge. It includes Brasier Saison. It includes the little market next to Brasier Saison. It includes Passiflora, Champion Grill in Stonefield, Champion Tap Room, which I already named, Champion Ice House in Gordonsville, and now Siren. He's a smart dude, Hunter. He partners with people that are talented, stays out of their way, and make sure they carry the Champion beer, offers Champion beer, which is smart, and in some cases insists that the restaurant is named has Champion included in some capacity. Champion Ice House, Champion Grill, Champion Tap Room. I think Laura with Siren is going to be a smash hit. She is one of the most high-profile chefs in Charlottesville. And that's thanks to her Food Network appearances, many of them, on Guy's Grocery Games on the Food Network. She's been on 8 episodes of Guy's Grocery Games. Not only that, she's local. Laura, I believe you went to Western Albemarle High School, right? I believe you did. She is going to do seafood-focused with a Mediterranean flavor. She's going to call it award-winning, approachable stoner food. I think it's a great idea. I think the Shabine space is dynamite. The Shabine space has an outside veranda that is COVID-friendly. Outside seating, covered veranda, fans, outside bar, fans to circulate the air. The veranda almost has like windows built into it. Walter Slosky did a hell of a job building that veranda. It's got an inside bar. It's got a large dining room. It's got parking in front of the restaurant. It's downtown without the misperception of having no parking. It has parking. Okay? I think this location is as good a restaurant location as you're going to find in the city of Charlottesville. Plenty of outside seating. Plenty of seats in general. 2 bars. Large dining room. Parking right in front of the restaurant. Large parking lot in front of the restaurant. Siren, this Mediterranean-flavored, seafood-focused, approachable stoner menu with the novelty that is a brand new restaurant, with the novelty that is a Food Network star, with the novelty that is someone born and raised locally in the kitchen as the executive chef. It's going to have success. The only thing I'm worried about, just like the only thing I'm worried about with my kid, my wife, my businesses, the community, the county, Central Virginia, the city, is Delta. It's COVID. Dudes, we're on the cusp of a major breakout here. Is anyone realizing this? We have school systems in the Commonwealth shutting down. We have the man who's likely in November to win a spot in the governor's mansion, Terry McAuliffe, literally saying on the record, I'm going to make life for anti-vaxxers extremely difficult. We got to get COVID under control so we can persevere and protect and patronize our restaurants and small businesses in our community. That's just a fact. Laura Fonner, I think you're going to do a hell of a job. I think Siren's going to crush it. We'll be there to eat. We will be there to drink. We can't wait to see the stoner approachable Mediterranean-style seafood menu that you put together. We can't wait to see what late nights at Siren look like. I just want, for all our sakes, this Delta variant to get managed and under control. October 3rd, expected opening for Siren in the old Shabine spot. Now, one more item from the restaurant notebook. Mas Tapas, unfortunately, is closed for the week because one of its team members got COVID. So Mas Tapas doing the right thing, notifying people on social media. Here's the post from Mas Tapas on Instagram. Unfortunately, we will be closed the rest of the week due to a staff member testing positive for COVID. We are having all our staff tested, and we will reopen once we are able to have thoroughly cleaned the building per CDC guidelines. We're very sorry for the inconvenience. For those that had reservations this week, and if you want to reschedule, please shoot us an email. So I respect that. I respect that Mas Tapas acknowledges what happened. I respect that Mas Tapas said we're going to clean the place from top to bottom. I respect that Mas Tapas said we're going to close for a week to make sure everyone's safe. All staff is going to get quarantined. Very nicely done, Mas Tapas. You handled this very well. All right, more items out of the notebook, and then we'll get to your comments. If you have comments you want to relay on air, if you want to challenge my perspective, you can do it. I'll relay your challenge perspective on air as well. If you have a question for me, if you have a topic you want me to cover, put them in the comments section, and I'll mention your comments on air on the I Love CVille show. Albemarle County, get this. Students on their first day of school, Albemarle County schools, in my neighborhood, on the morning route, the school bus broke down. Literally. School bus driver picking up kids in the neighborhood, third or fourth stop in the neighborhood, the bus breaks down. The school bus driver sees smoke coming from the engine and was concerned about the safety of the students. As a result, elementary age kids were asked by the school bus driver to quickly vacate the bus in my neighborhood. They were then left on the side of the road for some time until their parents were able to pick them up. This left many of us in the neighborhood asking this question: why can we track shoes that we order online, groceries that we order online, racquetball rackets, squash rackets, pickleball paddles, and platform tennis rackets that we order online? And I can legitimately see almost to the minute, if not the hour, when these shoes, the groceries, my racquetball racket, my pickleball paddle, my squash racket, my platform tennis racket, I can see almost to the minute, if not the hour, when they will be dropped on the doorstep of my house. Yet we're not able to track public school buses on our phone and the safety of our children. I can see when a loaf of bread is leaving Whole Foods and when a gallon of eggnog is leaving Whole Foods and being delivered to my house. Yet I can't check to see if my son was picked up at the bus stop and delivered to school safely. Does that make sense to anybody? I can track a pack of Pampers diapers and whether those Pampers diapers are going to make it to my front step at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m., yet I cannot track the little boy wearing those Pampers diapers and whether or not he got to kindergarten or not. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. The innovation that we see with e-commerce retail should quickly penetrate and follow transportation and public school systems. That would give moms and dads peace of mind. And peace of mind during a pandemic is invaluable, my friends. So for the public school systems out there, not just Albemarle, not just the city of Charlottesville, but across the country, let's figure out a way for these school buses, these tin cans, these COVID Petri dishes that we call buses. Let's figure out a tracking mechanism, an app on our smartphones, where we can see if little Johnny or little Susie got to the bus stop, to the school safely. Because tracking gallons of eggnog and tracking loaves of bread and tracking Pampers diapers and PaddleTech pickleball paddles on our phone should be second to tracking the health and safety of our kids and whether or not they make it to school safely or not. Ay, mi madre, carajo, coño. All right, next topic on today's program. I've been getting this question left and right from viewers and listeners. Jerry, if you were atop the totem pole of the Charlottesville Police Department, how would you fix the morale issues and the myriad of problems that are currently present within CPD? I've been thinking about this. I understand the influence we have with this platform. Heck, I understand the show is watched by Charlottesville Police Department. I understand that the chief has watched the program. I understand elected officials, the city manager, watch the program. I get it. I understand the influence we have. So I've given it some thought. I'm going to give a reasonable perspective. And I'm going to do a sports analogy. You get a football team, a basketball team, baseball team that is struggling. And they're not living up to expectations. What's the owner do? What's the general manager of that team do? They bring in a new skipper, a new manager, a new head coach. That new skipper, the new manager, the new head coach is then charged with revitalizing the program, revitalizing the team, changing the culture, huffing new life into the locker room, getting rid of the bad apples, and trying to welcome new good apples onto the roster. This happens in sports all the time. The skipper, the manager, the head coach should be given some leeway or some latitude to change morale, to get the bad apples out, to revamp team culture or company culture. But after a few years, after a handful of years, if there's still underperformance, if there's still bad apples, if there's still morale issues, where does the buck stop? Where's the finger pointed? Who falls on the sword? The skipper, the manager, the head coach. Now here's the question. Chief Brackney, she took over a police department that was very much in purgatory. Okay? Fresh off of August 12th, 2017, fresh off of Al Thomas, former chief, Charlottesville Police, being on the job for a New York minute, fresh off Tim Longo, who was a giant in the field, a legacy that still can be felt in the CPD and City Hall today, Tim Longo's legacy. Not an easy job to take over. Charlottesville City was searching for its identity. Charlottesville citizens were challenging the police department and continue to do so. Charlottesville citizens want clarity on the $19 million yearly budget. Charlottesville citizens, many of them, want new police tactics. They don't want police officers coming to domestics or drunken publics. Instead, many citizens in Charlottesville want counselors or therapists to help intervene for drug issues, for domestic dispute issues, for public intoxication issues. We're in this era, 2021, where much of the tax-paying population wants to completely change policing forever. And then we're in this era in 2021 where much of the taxpayer population wants policing to stay the same. We're still fresh on the heels of the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Chief Brackney has no easy task in front of her. No easy task. But that's why she's in the CEO seat. That's why she's the police chief. Because it's up to her, she's been entrusted to be able to have the mental makeup, the physical makeup, the experience makeup, to manage and handle all these circumstances. All this collision of different factors that make the job difficult. And she's been on the job a handful of years now. So when 60% plus of the department says we're uncertain about leadership or there are morale issues within the CPD, you got to raise the antennas and say, hey, what's going on here? If you were in the National Football League and a head coach, 2 years, 3 years on the job, still has serious morale in the locker room and doesn't have teammates or doesn't have players that are inspired by the head coach, that head coach eventually is going to be on the hot seat. We know that happens. I'm not saying Brackney deserves to be on the hot seat now, but eventually you got to timestamp it. And eventually you got to say, hey, rank and file does not feel inspired by leadership. What's going on here? What's going on here? Happens in sports, happens in business, should happen in police. Now I'm going to make a bold prediction here. In early November, 2 seats on Charlottesville City Council will be filled. Juan Diego Wade, Brian Pinkston, Nakia Walker, Yaz Washington running for 2 empty seats. Heather Hill, not running again. Nakia Walker, the mayor, the incumbent, running again. If I was a gambling man, and I am a gambling man, I'm an entrepreneur, I also enjoy poker and sports betting, I would say Juan Diego Wade and Nakia Walker likely get the 2 open seats on council. The next council, once these seats are full, they're going to be stuck with this CPD, morale issue, potential leadership issue situation. The next council is going to manage this problem, the upzoning situation that we have going on, where we're trying to add more density to the city. Elections matter. Neil Williamson, Free Enterprise Forum, taught us that. Elections matter. And the elections that matter the most, that have the greatest impact on our lives, are the local ones. The local ones. So remember that when you cast your ballot, when you cast your vote in early November for Charlottesville City Council. All right, a couple topics left, then I'll get to your comments. Put the comments in the feed. Put the comments in the feed, and I will relay them on air. How about the best beach destinations for investors? So the Nomad Beach Index ranks the best destinations for investors that are seeking a little more sun and a lot less taxes. So these beach destinations are places investors would buy a home for R&R and for tax haven relief. Here are the top 10. This is from the Nomad Beach Index. You can find this article on CNBC as we speak. Number 1, and it should be no surprise, the Cayman Islands. If you're looking for R&R, beautiful sand, beautiful food, beautiful water, beautiful women, beautiful men, relax, recover, Cayman Islands is number one. Cayman Islands offers the best tax haven of any beach destination according to the Nomad Beach Index. Antigua and Barbuda are number two. The Bahamas 3, Montenegro 4, Algarve in Portugal 5, Cozumel, Mexico 6. Some of these I can't say. I'm not the most well-traveled individual. I should be, but I work my ass off. My wife wants us to be more well-traveled. And we will eventually, honey. You know I love what I do. 7, Langkawi, Malaysia. 8, Dominica, St. Lucia. 9, Grenada. And 10, Puerto Rico. If you're looking to shelter some money and you don't want to pay Uncle Sam and you want to see some ladies in bikinis, eat some beautiful food, some delicious food, have some good spirits, Cayman Islands. No question about it. How many times have we watched a movie? I'm thinking of The Firm right now. Remember The Firm with Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman? That was a hell of a movie, The Firm. We should watch The Firm again. If you haven't seen The Firm recently, watch it again. I saw it a couple weeks ago. It was damn good. Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman go to the Cayman Islands to work with a client. When you think movies and you think sheltering tax money and doing something illegal and to try to keep that money from the illegal activity under radar, you go to a bank in the Cayman Islands. That's number one. High net worth individual that's trying to buy a beach investment property, Cayman Islands number one. I'll include the link for the top 10 because I butchered the pronunciation of most of these cities, municipalities, and areas. I'll include that link in the package on ilovecville.com for this story. One other topic, and then I get to your comments. Put the comments in the feed now. Comments in the feed now, and we will relay your comments on air. Keith Smith sent me this topic. And make sure you turn into Real Talk tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. Real Talk tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. Guys, there is now a mortgage lender called Neat Capital. The company is based in Colorado. Neat, N-E-A-T Capital, is offering vaccinated individuals a $500 discount on closing costs on both purchases and refi applications. Borrowers can present a digital or electronic picture of their vaccination record to qualify. Neat Capital is also making a lender credit available to unvaccinated borrowers who attest that they are unable to be vaccinated due to health status or religious reasons. $500 off, discounted, on closing costs or refinancing costs if you're vaccinated. Remember we would say earlier this year, if we were operating a bar or a restaurant, we would do a happy hour special. Show your proof of vaccination, get a free beer. Show your proof of vaccination, get a free appetizer. Proof of vaccination, get you something at a restaurant. Well, Neat Capital, the mortgage lender's taking it a step further. You show Neat Capital proof of vaccination, they give you $500 off closing costs. $5 off closing costs. As the Delta variant spikes, I would expect more and more of this. I would expect more and more of this as the Delta variant spikes. Businesses taking matters into their own hands. Time will tell. Terry McAuliffe is certainly encouraging people to do that. Time will tell. Viewer and listener comments, put them in the feed. Viewer and listener comments, put them in the feed. Our friend, Marquise. Hello, my friend. Hello, how are you? Where are you watching? Are you watching in Virginia Beach? No, you're in Hampton, right? You're in Hampton? Okay, Hampton. I love it. He's in Hampton, Virginia. He's got some comments that I'm going to get to. I'm going to read them on air right now. He says, he's in Hampton. He thinks it might be the Nook. That's interesting. Got to be the Nook, Marquise, that's for sale, the Downtown Mall restaurant. The intriguing thing, possibly, I don't have the answer, Marquise. I don't know the answer. The intriguing thing about the Nook is Stu Rifkin at one time owned the Nook. He no longer owns it. He sold it. He sold it. He now has a listing for a restaurant that's for sale in the Downtown Mall that's upscale and profitable. I don't know. I don't think it's the whiskey jar either, Marquise. You don't think it's Fitzroy, Marquise? I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just taking guess. Oh, you're not a fan of the CPD, Marquise? I can't read all these comments here, sir. We miss you too. We miss you too in Charlottesville. He's in Hampton. We miss you too, buddy. Scott Aaronworth says he loves the Fitzroy. He's watching in Virginia Beach. Scott, what do you think is the restaurant that Stu Rifkin has for sale? What's your take? What's your guess? And he also says, give Chef Fonner a shout out. I did. I think Chef Fonner is going to crush it with Siren as long as we manage the Delta variant appropriately. As long as we manage the Delta variant appropriately. Marquise, you can come on the show anytime you want. I would love to get your take on life in Charlottesville. I've invited you many times, my friend. The ball's in your court. You can come on the program anytime you want. This is from Grayson. Grayson watches the show almost every day. Grayson, I am grateful for your support. Grayson says this, Jerry, love today's show, love the news. Most of the stuff you talk about on the program, I don't even know about. I don't watch TV, and I don't read much of the newspaper. You're my source of news here in Charlottesville, and I agree. If we don't get Delta under control, we're going to be in the same spot we were this time last year where we started shutting things down, and nobody wants that. Thank you for saying that, Grayson. I'm worried about it as well. This is coming from Jennifer. Jerry, when did Mas Tapas start taking reservations? I thought it was walk-in only. Thank you for your show. I'm enjoying it today. Mas Tapas started taking reservations during the pandemic to help them manage traffic flow and customer flow. And you're right, Jennifer, it used to be walk-in only. Remember before the pandemic, you'd go to Mas Tapas and there would be this bottleneck of customers waiting at the door? And we would all be eyeing people as they were eating their bacon-wrapped dates or their bocadillos or their tomatoes asados or their sangria, and we all would be cramped at the door. Now reservations to try to help manage traffic flow and customer flow at the Tapas restaurant that made Belmont. I mean, the first date... No, it wasn't the first date. Was it, sweetheart? I think the second or third date I ever took my now wife on was at Mas Tapas. The first date was a double date at Three Penny Cafe, which is now Little Star Restaurant. The second date, I got a Cameron limousine stretch limo, invited my girlfriend, wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time, wife now, and our friends to do a vineyard winery tour. That was fun. The third date, was Mas Tapas. I can't think of, if you're trying to make an impression on a significant other, Mas Tapas makes an impression. It is damn good. It is absolutely fantastic. They're closed for the week. Vanessa Parkhill's got some guesses. I love when you watch the show, Vanessa Parkhill. What is the restaurant upstairs from Fitzroy? Is that still open? That's Now and Zen. Oh, that's not Now and Zen. That's 10. That's 10 Sushi, Vanessa Parkhill. I don't think it's Hamilton's because Vanessa Parkhill also asked if it was Hamilton's. I don't think it's Hamilton's because Bill and Kate Hamilton so committed to that restaurant. Bill and Kate Hamilton's son, in a lot of ways, was raised in that restaurant. And that restaurant does well. I don't know which restaurant is for sale, but Vanessa Parkhill is coming with some great guests. She suggests maybe it's 10 atop the Fitzroy. Marquise Johnson says, Vanessa Parkhill, you're coming with some nice guesses here. And I agree, Marquise. She really is coming with some nice guesses right there. So I'll try to get to the bottom of it. Scott Aaronworth says, Tavla now takes reservations. And that's smart of Tavla to take reservations, right? Because it's not a large spot. It needs to take reservations to try to accommodate the many people that are trying to eat there. Jamie Turner. He says, the king and mayor of Gordonsville, the king and mayor of Orange County, Woodbury Forest is one of its finest alumni. Jamie Turner says, seeing quite a bit of restaurants for sale. Sad to see the impact the past year has had on the industry. Great show today, Jerry. Thank you. And then he says, Jerry pulling out the limo early. I have to steal that one. Jamie Turner, you can pull that off, my friend. You got the suave and the debonair and the cool as the other side of the pillow. To give some props to Stu Scott. Rest in power, Stu Scott. That was one of his go-to lines on SportsCenter. He's cooler than the other side of the pillow. That's Jamie Turner. Cooler than the other side of the pillow. You could pull out the stretch limousine as well, Jamie Turner. And to put in perspective the timeline, I met my wife on an airplane July 10th. I was flying back from a week of business in New Providence, New Jersey. Judah was there. Judah, remember? Judah was there. We're flying out of LaGuardia Airport. LaGuardia Airport is the third world country of airports in America. We're in a terminal that is poorly marked, poorly lit, does not have a bar for us to pass the time. The folks that were working the gate offer no updates on the delay we were having. It's a massive delay. There was a lady that was dressed to the nines. I'll get to her in a matter of moments. She was dressed to go out as soon as the plane landed at Cho. I see her storming around the terminal, around the gate. She has a limited time in Charlottesville where she's visiting her best friend and her best friend's husband. As soon as the plane landed, they were going to go vineyard hopping. That's why she was dressed to the nines. After a week of doing business in New Jersey and wearing a button-down shirt and slacks and a jacket, I was dressed comfortably. In fact, I was dressed so comfortably, I was wearing a tank top, camo cargo shorts, and rainbow sandals. I see this beautiful lady, this beautiful lass, storming around the terminal, asking for updates, saying, look, I'm only in town for 36 hours. If you delay this plane 2 to 3 hours, that really cuts into what we can do in Charlottesville on this visit to my best friend to see her and her husband. I was empathetic, and I felt empathy for her. We all have been on a vacation, perhaps, where travel limits the quality time we get to spend on that vacation. So finally we get on a plane, LaGuardia, straight to Charlottesville. And while on this plane, I see the beautiful lady storming around the terminal, and I noticed the seat next to her was empty. Well, I'm sitting in the back of the plane, and I'm like, well, the seat next to her is empty. Why don't I go from the back of the plane and sit next to her? It's not like she can leave. We're in a tin can in the air, flying from LaGuardia to Charlottesville. So I do that. I sit next to her, start talking her up, try to bring my best charming A game. The A game worked. Was able to get her phone number before she left the plane. She actually texted me before I texted her that evening. You know you did, sweetheart. She texted me about an hour after we got off the plane. She said, I'm over at the Whiskey Jar with my best friend and her husband. Come visit us. I go visit her at the Whiskey Jar. We get to talking. Do you ever have those moments with your significant other, especially early in the honeymoon period, falling in love with somebody, where you're having this conversation with the person and everything else around you, it's like it doesn't even exist? We're in a super crowded bar at the Whiskey Jar super crowded. This is in 2015. And no one else actually existed in the bar. We heard no other noise. We weren't even cramped by the crowd. All we had was this captivating conversation. That's how that moment was at the Whiskey Jar. That night, we kiss outside the Whiskey Jar in front of the downtown grill. First kiss. The next day, we do a double date. Her best friend's husband, me and my wife at Three Penny Cafe. We kiss again after the date at Three Penny Cafe. She hops a plane on Sunday. That was Saturday night, Three Penny Cafe. She hops a plane on Sunday at a show, flies back to Blackstone, where she's working a six-figure job as an analyst at a hedge fund. We text from July. We met on July 10th. We text nonstop. She says, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a trial weekend. The first weekend in August, we met July 10th on an airplane. First weekend in August, she comes down again. This time not to see her best friend. This time not to go vineyard hopping with her best friend and her best friend's husband, but only to spend the weekend with me. This is the first weekend of August. We spend the weekend together. It's absolutely magical. Scott Aaronworth, we go to all the fantastic restaurants you love to go. And we decide after that travel weekend, together, that she is going to quit her six-figure plus job at Blackstone in the Big Apple. She's going to bypass the end of the year bonus that she was going to get in roughly 4 months. It was probably close to $30,000. That's the kind of bonuses the hedge funds offer. And she was going to leave everything, her friends, and move everything down to Charlottesville to come live with me. From the first weekend in August, the trial weekend, to August 29th, when she moved in with me, she mailed via UPS a box to me a day with her possessions and her things. Every day when I got home from work in August of 2015, there was a box sitting on my front deck that had her valuable possessions in it that I would pick up and take into the house. She says goodbye to her friends and family, puts in her notice at Blackstone, hops an Amtrak train with one suitcase and a bottle of champagne, and on August 29th, I pick her up at the West Main Street location. She gets in the car, we go home, and we're engaged the following March. Today, we have a phenomenal son who's 3 and change, that is the absolute light of our world. You know, it's funny. You don't realize you're missing a part of your heart until you have a son or daughter. I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, when my friends who are now having kids or pregnant say, what's it like to be a parent? I say this to them. Parenthood is and I'm no pro. I'm a rookie when it comes to being a parent. My kid is 3 and change, okay? We only have 1. Folks watching, you guys are Hall of Famers compared to us. We have 3 years and change of experience. But when my friends ask, what's it like being a parent? I say this. Parenthood is the best, hardest thing ever. The longest, shortest thing ever. The days feel like years, but the years feel like days. When he's driving you crazy and you think you can't take anymore, he'll giggle or say something funny or give you a hug or nuzzle in your arms and you forget about the frustration. And then I also make sure to emphasize, for the sake of calming down the expecting parents, I say this. You know what? Crackheads and cavemen have successfully raised children. Crackheads and cavemen have successfully raised children. You are neither. So you're going to be a hell of a parent. But get ready. It's the best, hardest thing ever and the longest, shortest thing ever. Marquise Johnson, you like this story, huh? Smooth moves. You go after what you want, right? You got to go after what you want, Marquise Johnson. That's one of the things where I went after what I want. All right, so that's the program, guys. Tomorrow, Real Talk, 10:15 a.m. Tomorrow, I Love CVille Show, 12:30 p.m. So much news in today's broadcast. I'm grateful for you watching the program. Thank you, Jamie Turner. I'm grateful for you guys watching the show. We're back in the saddle mañana at 10:15 a.m., bringing the best of Charlottesville, Virginia to you. We encourage you to follow us on Instagram. We have the third largest Instagram following in the community behind UVA and the city of Charlottesville. Join the I Love CVille family on Instagram, and please support the businesses that make this show possible. I very much encourage you to go to Skooma Boutique Dispensary on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall next to Rapture. Pain management issues, sleeping through the night issues, anxiety issues, or if you just want to relax, Skooma Boutique Dispensary has you covered, guys. That's the program. Hasta luego.